The Pseudo Nerd Podcast.
Or a board game revolution, as I like to call it.
I've never heard you call it that, but
You've said it. You've now said it, I think 4 times, and it is the title of the rundown.
It's teetering between dude and dork.
From a physics or realistic standpoint, it makes more sense than this Death Star that can just, do that.
These friends discuss everything from sports
I hope you don't win a playoff game with your kicker scoring the most points.
to movies.
The whole idea of Hermione and Harry Potter, it's just like having the jock getting with the cheerleader to me.
To cheeseburgers.
Baconzilla is just an extra thing I'll have.
It's an added bonus, a little treat.
The 2 Baconzillas I get are the extra added treat.
This is the Pseudo Nerd Podcast with Josh Kiser.
You come in there, scissor kick some people, do a spinneroonie, get tossed out.
Josh Haddock.
If you've never read the graphic novel and watched that, you walk away from it thinking about Batman and Batgirl instead of Batman and Joker.
And Kyle Hogan.
And he's just bathing in his blood.
Get ready. The Pseudo Nerd Podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 56 of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast for March 24th, 2017. I'm your podcast host, Josh Kiser, and joining me today, Mr. Josh Haddix.
How's everybody doing?
And Kyle Hoagland.
I would have rather have Haddix do it. That sounded way more enthusiastic coming from him. It seemed forced coming from you.
Yes,
Kaiser,
it
but what's
did. It
going on?
definitely did. It sounded like you're.
I mean, to be fair, I'm not very enthusiastic in introducing Hoagie anyways, so...
That was not very kayfabe, if you ask me.
No, did not kayfabe. But coming up in today's podcast, we will go full kayfabe as we break down the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 2017, right? Because Vince doesn't like using numbers anymore.
Yeah, which I hate, by the way.
It's easier for me to know just how many years it's gone on. I don't like going back in time and having to count back the years. So it's technically 34. But yeah, WrestleMania 2017.
Yeah,
it's way more marketable, I guess.
He wants it not to sound old, so that's why he
Which
does
is
it.
weird to me. You would think you would think that's better because you'd be like, oh, it has a history.
It's sort of like the Super Bowl. We just had Super Bowl 51. Oh, cool! It's been around for 51 years.
Well, I guess none of the other ones have numbers. It's not like, oh, here's
I know
SummerSlam.
they've always been. Yeah, you're right. It's Royal Rumble, it's SummerSlam, whatever year, and things like that. But WrestleMania has always had a number to it. But I think that's the same way. I think it's the only pay-per-view that had numbers. I don't think any of the WCW Starcades and Halloween Havocs and stuff, those were always the year.
Well, they said they either didn't do anything or they would give it the year.
Which, in doing some research for my list twist segment coming up later, it's a little teaser for you guys. It's
I can't wait.
It goes between numbers, Roman numerals, years. It's it's annoying.
There's exactly. It was
Roman
all over
numerals,
the place.
not Roman numerals,
and then a Roman numeral with a dash, and then a 8 for 18 or something. It's
and
stupid.
this year
so
you
stupid.
have Roman reigns in it. So there's just Roman stuff all over the place.
Oh my god, and it's always horrible, right?
This one, though, Hoagie, is going to be a little bit more special for you and I because we're actually going to be down in Orlando for it.
This will be our second WrestleMania, and I think overall it'll be my third major pay-per-view, and I think for you it'll be your third major pay-per-view. No, fourth. Your fourth. You've been to a King of the Ring. I can
No.
right?
I've been to 2 Survivor Series pay-per-views.
Oh, 2 Survivor Series. Oh, yeah, that's right. 2 Survivor Series. I've been to 1 Survivor Series, and this will be my second WrestleMania.
Haddix, how about you? You ever been to a pay-per-view?
No. I went to...
All right.
Well, I was trying to think. I was really young, and I went to a wrestling show, and I remember getting a Legion of Doom poster. I highly doubt that was a pay-per-view, though. That might have just been
house show or Raw or something.
I have no idea, but I highly doubt it's a pay-per-view.
I still recall one story from Kiser that you met. Did you meet, or was it the fact that Vincent was like the headliner of like a dark show you saw?
No, it was. Yeah, I met. I think at the time he was still advertising himself as Virgil. Well, maybe he wasn't. I think he had the NWO shirt, so he probably was Vincent. But it was at the Lorraine Palace Theater in Lorraine, Ohio. It was one of those like local shows. You know, like they always do these like wrestling shows come through, and they pay like one random old veteran, like, you know, a Roddy Piper or like Scott Hall these days or something like that will be like the headliner to show up. And at this particular show, it was a bunch of like local nobodies, and then the main event was a steel cage match at the Lorraine Palace Theater, and I think it was Greg the Hammer Valentine against Vincent. So, you know, then there was autograph sessions afterwards.
For Greg Valentine, I think.
I think at the time it was because he was like still in the NWO, and that was when the NWO was cool. So like I was like, oh yeah, he's cool. He was with Ted DiBiase, you know. Now you realize like what a joke he was. So
I would love to know how many matches he actually had in WCW. Where I mean, like an actual like pinfall submission.
It's funny
match
you say
he was building,
because I've been watching old Nitros, and specifically leading up to the Goldberg Kevin Nash Starrcade, and Vincent of course has like been fairly prevalent in like hanging out with the NWO. And I'm sitting there and like I realized like he doesn't do anything. He wasn't even like really, when the NWO would interfere, he wasn't really even throwing punches. And by the end of it, I thought, you know, I don't know if he ever wrestled when he was in WCW.
I know he wrestled a little bit when he was the $1 Million Man's like, I mean, no other better way of saying it than like slave, but
bodyguard, butler, you know.
I mean, a lot better ways to say that, I guess.
Literally, I could probably give you a million better ways than to say that, but
I get it.
But no, you're right. He probably did wrestle when he was on WCW on a couple like Saturday Night Velocities or something like that. But either way, it should be a good time down in Orlando and taking in as we go for the road to WrestleMania.
So with this edition of Test Your Knowledge, this is going to be a really tough one for our boy Haddix, who's currently still nursing a 4-1 deficit to the current reigning defending champion Kiser. With the fact that it is this is a WrestleMania podcast, we're going to be talking about WrestleMania. And I think overall, and I think both can agree, that the overall knowledge of wrestling definitely sides more with Kiser. Now, we've been wrong before where we've had some upsets, and I'm rooting for you again, Haddix, especially just to at least keep this somewhat close. But are you ready for the task?
Dude, it's only March, okay? That's all I got to say about, and that's all I got to say about that, in the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, all right?
Well, unfortunately, not every one of these questions is about Stone Cold, so you're going to have to think a little bit more outside the box.
Kiser's going to be 6-1.
Well, it'd be 5-1. But,
I should be 6-0. Let's not forget that first one. Okay. I had a victory with the bonus question in your.
Hey man, the rules are the rules, bro. All right, I don't make them.
Neither do I half the time. So with that said, here are the rules for match number 6. I have in my possession 9 questions, 8 of which will be. Really, I have 8 questions and a tiebreaker. I'm only going to use the 9th one in the event that we have to go to a tiebreaker. The question I have has multiple answers, and we're going to play kind of like a name that tune kind of game this, so nobody has to step away. Kiser, I'm going to, since you won last time, I will let you decide whether or not you want to go first or second, and then I'll then discuss the rules after that.
You know what? Let's go first this time.
Okay. So for those who have never heard of Name That Tune, which was a decently popular game back in, I think, like the 70s and 80s, there's like a particular question or topic. Usually it's like a song that's played, and then one person will say, hey, I can name that in 3 notes. I can name that in 4 notes. And then whoever can put the lowest number and is able to pull it off will get the point. Of the challenge, you get the point. If you fail the challenge, other person gets the point. Are we all good with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, well then let's do it. Here's question number 1. So overall, there have been 5 winners of the WrestleMania Money in the Bank ladder matches. I need you guys to name me them. Kiser, you tell me first what you think you can do.
I'll say I can do 3.
Haddix?
I feel like we've had a similar question to this before, and I know that Kiser can name 3 of them. But I'm going to challenge him just because I think he'd beat me in naming them anyway. So I'm going to challenge Kiser to make sure he could do 3.
Well, then, Kiser, you need to get the 3 winners of the Money in the Bank ladder match of WrestleMania.
Here we go. Let's say Edge, Mr. Kennedy, and John Cena.
John Cena did not win it.
It wasn't at there.
So, okay. Haddix, you get the first point.
Dang it. All
the
right.
order went Edge, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Kennedy, CM Punk twice, and Jack Swagger. Now, Jack Swagger was the last WrestleMania Money in the Bank ladder.
Wouldn't have guessed Jack Swagger in a million years. I didn't even know. I don't think I ever knew he was a Money in the Bank winner.
Yeah, he actually cashed it on. He cashed it in on Chris Jericho, and when he won the world heavyweight title that way. So, okay, so Haddix, you've got a point. That's how easy it is. It's a gravy train from here on out. So, second question. There are 13 wrestlers with a better win-loss record than HBK at WrestleMania who have had at least 10 matches. Name as many as you can. Haddix, you will go first.
So they've had at least 10 matches.
And has a better win-loss
but have a better winning percentage than Shawn Michaels. And I have to name those people.
Correct.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and say 5.
Okay. I will say 6.
I was hoping you wouldn't do that. I will... you know what? To test Kaiser's mettle, I'm going to challenge him at 6.
So Kiser, you got to do it again. Give me 6.
All right. I'm going to start out with Undertaker. I think that's
an easy one.
That's an easy give me. I will go with Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I'll have to stop you right there. He has not wrestled 10 matches at WrestleMania.
Austin has. Oh, dang!
You know what's sad is
right. I should have thought about that.
He was one of my 5. So
I don't know why I didn't even think about that as the 10. I was just like thinking, yeah. I think he was only, yeah. All right.
I think he's only had 6 or 7 matches.
Yeah.
Here's the whole list. I'll just give you the list. So Undertaker, obviously. Triple H was 9-11. Kane was 8-8. The Big Show is 4-10, which is barely better than Shawn Michaels' win-loss percentage of 6-11. Bret Hart 8-6, Jericho 5-8, Hulk Hogan 8-3, Cena 9-3, Orton 5-7, Savage and Rey Mysterio 7-4, The Rock 6-5, Edge 6-4.
Okay.
All right.
Yep. All right.
And okay, so Haddix 2-0, looking good so far.
All right.
So here's the third question. Please tell me, and there are 3 altogether, wrestlers who have wrestled in at least half of the WrestleManias. Kiser, you go first. There are 4.
I'll say 2.
Gosh, shit. I'll do 3.
All right, prove it.
All right, give me. There's 4 altogether, so give me 3.
So Undertaker?
Okay.
All right.
John Cena?
No. The answers are Undertaker at obviously whatever he's at, 24.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels at 17. Kane at 17.
Damn.
Triple H with 20. All right, well, 2-1. Still you're in front, Haddix. Here's the next one. Wrestlers that have main evented WrestleMania 5 times or more. There are 5 total. And Haddix, you're going first, I believe.
I will say 3.
That's a good number.
I'll do 4.
Well,
do
I don't think
5?
I could do 5, so I'm going to have to challenge Kiser at 4.
All right, Kiser, give me 5 wrestlers that have at least been in the main event 5 times.
Hogan, Undertaker, Michaels.
Have to stop you. Undertaker has not been the main event. He's been the main event 4 times.
I call absolute bullshit on that. Because
yeah, I remember.
Are you count? He is. I think the last 5 WrestleManias have been, Undertaker's been considered a main event.
No, the main event has either been considered the last match of the night or for a title. But this is according to WWE's database. So as far as the 5 that have had it, Hogan has 7, Triple H has 7, Shawn Michaels has 6, Cena and The Rock 5.
Yeah, I would have said that Cena and Rock were following that. I still think Undertaker is in that. So,
Haddix, you're up 3-1. You are 2 away from pulling off the win.
All right.
But there have been 6 different main event stipulations as far as the last match of the night. Name the 6. Kiser, you go first.
I'll do 3.
Now remember, okay, you'll do 3.
I think I could do 4.
All right, go for it.
So 4?
All right.
Guys,
so
go ahead.
Is triple threat considered?
That's a stipulation, yes.
Okay. So that would be my number 1. Is that correct?
Yes.
No DQ.
Go ahead.
First blood match?
No. That was King of the Ring, buddy.
I was going to say cage match. Is that one of them?
Yes, cage match is one of them.
All right, that would have been my 4. So there was my 4.
Iron Man would have been one.
Iron Man would have been one. 4-way elimination is another one. And career match. All right, so Haddix still got the lead 3-2. It's getting closer. And we're eating away at this podcast.
Yeah, we are.
Next one. Wrestlers whose last WWE match was at WrestleMania. There are 8. And I believe Haddix.
I'll go with 3. I'll start with 3.
Kiser?
Prove it.
All right.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Go ahead.
Right. Shawn Michaels.
Go ahead.
Daniel Bryan.
No. So Bart Gunn, Brutus Beefcake, Shelton Benjamin, Shelton Benjamin, JBL, Andre the Giant, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, Ric Flair.
Did you say Edge?
I did not say Edge.
I thought, didn't Edge retire the day after WrestleMania?
He was my only other guess.
There you're right. Never mind. Yep, you're right. Edge is on this list too.
Yeah.
Yep. Edge is on here.
Is Daniel Bryan on that list?
No, Daniel Bryan's not on this list. So now it's tied 3-3 with nobody getting a challenge correct. Cities that have hosted or will host, that's a hint by the way, more than one WrestleMania. There have been 8 cities. Kiser, you will start it.
Let's go with 4.
I'm going to have to challenge that because I don't know. Probably don't even know 3. So,
all right, Kiser, give me 4.
Okay, let's go with New York.
Go ahead.
Detroit.
Detroit's only had 1 WrestleMania.
Oh well, that's unfortunate.
It goes this way. Anaheim's had 2. Atlantic City has had 2. Houston 2. LA 3. New York 3. Orlando twice. Because of this one coming up. Rosemont, Illinois 3 times. And Toronto twice.
Yeah, that's the Silverdome was Michigan for WrestleMania 3 because that was Andre the Giant, and then we went to Detroit. Again, I'm calling shenanigans on this.
Haddix, you are one win away. You are one wrong challenge away, apparently, from taking this one.
All right.
Here's possibly the last question. Wrestlers who won the Royal Rumble but did not win the title at WrestleMania. There are 9. Haddix, you will start this one.
I'll start with 3.
I'll go with 4.
I'm gonna have to challenge you just because I don't even know if I could have said 3. So
okay, so here's the thing, Kiser. No one's gotten a challenge yet. So history tells me Haddix wins this whole thing. Prove me wrong. Give me 4 wrestlers who've won the Royal Rumble but did not win the title.
Well, we'll start with Roman Reigns. Triple H.
Triple H is not on this list, and I know that for a fact.
All right.
The list on here is the list is Lex Luger, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, John Cena, Randy Orton, Edge, Alberto Del Rio, and Batista. So with that said, Haddix, look at you, boy.
Hey,
taking
man.
home a 5-3 win. Now, once again, it's only 4-2 for the overall lead, but it's a big win considering it's a wrestling win against Kiser.
Still
and
running, too.
And Kiser, we'll talk off air about a couple of these.
Of those. Yeah. All right, well, let's get into what we do enjoy about WrestleMania, because it is a special pay-per-view. It's not just any old pay-per-view, and it is kind of the one that it's their big one. I mean, they make it for the casual and the hardcore fans alike. So I'll start with you guys. Like, what do you like most about WrestleMania?
I think for me, and it might be a little bit selfish in the sense of, the current fans, although, I mean, I guess we're current fans as well, but I always enjoy the Attitude Era superstars that come on. Not necessarily wrestling, but was it last year where Mick Foley, Stone Cold, and Shawn Michaels all came out together and kind of did that segment with... That
was a couple of years ago, I think.
A couple of years ago, yeah. Like that kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't really add any matches to WrestleMania, but like I enjoy that. It makes me laugh. Kind of lets you see your favorite superstars from back in the day. I always enjoy those little segments like that, as long as they're not too long. I always enjoy those segments.
I think the thing I like the most about it is, like you kind of said, it's one of those nights where sports and entertainment kind of come together for a night. There's a lot of celebrities that come to those things. For example, Kiser and I will be at the WrestleMania this year, so obviously the A-listers will be out in full bloom, and we'll definitely be shaking some hands and getting some selfies with some of the big fans of both the movie, music, entertainment world. So that's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah, and for me, there's certain special moments, and they talk about the WrestleMania moments, but they bring back some of the part-timers. And when I say that, there's the big part-timers. It used to be, they had like Shane McMahon is kind of the new guy out there, but Triple H is sort of been he comes back for the one time a year. And before that, it was Undertaker sort of made it cool to wrestle one time a year and show up at WrestleMania. He had his undefeated streak for so long, and it became one of those things where, you knew Undertaker was coming back just about Royal Rumble time or so. He'd make an appearance, and there'd be a big match. And then, with those particular, Triple H and Undertaker especially, they'd have these grand entrances. So it wasn't just your typical music hits, maybe the lights go out, whatever. There's like a whole show presentation. I mean, Rusev came out in a freaking tank a couple of years ago. So I've always appreciated some of their... I look forward to the big entrances and whose those might be that particular year.
So who's going to have a big one this year, do you think?
I mean, I got to assume Taker will still do it. Triple H has been kind of full of himself lately, so I got to imagine he gets one. Outside of that, though, I'm not sure who might... I could see Bray Wyatt being champion. Maybe they do something big for him.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You think maybe Charlotte Flair will do something? I thought maybe she would be also.
I mean, she's not champion right now, so it'd be kind of weird to give her the big entrance.
They might do something extra big for Goldberg, although he kind of already has a longer entrance anyway.
That's true. It might just be a long Goldberg entrance, but I could see him having something a little bit bigger. What don't you guys like about WrestleMania? I mean, is there anything in particular that, doesn't sit right with you, or that you're, it might be different from other pay-per-views, but for like the wrong reasons.
The only thing I have on this is, and maybe it's just maybe the last couple of WrestleManias, there's a lot of pressure for WrestleMania to be good. It's the quintessential kind of season finale in a sense for everything that's gone on from April of last year all the way up until now. I know that it's kind of it might not seem that way, but it is. It may be up from like Survivor Series. Maybe it's more of the stirring of what things could happen towards WrestleMania, because it's really hard to write a story for somebody in the business of professional wrestling where injuries happen, sex tapes happen, things like that. And who knows, what the landscape looks like, between May of 2016 and March, April of 2017. But yeah, I think the problem right now is I think the last maybe 3 WrestleManias have been okay, but they have not been the best pay-per-view of the year, which I feel like if there's any time to really cash in, it's at WrestleMania. I
agree. And actually, I think last year's WrestleMania was awful, but I don't think we've had a great WrestleMania since WrestleMania 30, personally. But I agree, there is a lot of pressure, and they bring it on themselves. It's just like it is their Super Bowl, so it's just like when you have a bad Super Bowl, you're always like, oh god, that Super Bowl was so bad, and it's like, you remember the good Super Bowls just like you're going to remember the good WrestleManias. Go ahead.
I would say I agree with you guys, and I think part of the reason that they've seemed worse lately is because, like you wrote on the rundown here, Kiser, they're way too long. 7 hours is way too long. I understand there's a plethora of superstars these days, and you kind of want to get everyone on the card as you can, i.e.
they want them all to get their
matches.
paychecks. Yeah, that's why they have that Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial thing.
And I get that, but God, it's so when it's that long.
It's really long. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely way too long. I even read somewhere the other day people suggesting the idea of splitting it into 2 days, and I'm like, you just can't. I mean, at that point, it just becomes even, what do you do? And they're like, oh, you could have a brand split. And I'm like, no, you don't want to have a SmackDown WrestleMania in a Raw WrestleMania. It's not worth it. I understand.
At that point, you might as well have 2 different federations again.
Right, exactly. It is one special day, but it doesn't need to be too long, because you take the crowd out of it. The crowd is worn out by the time that Undertaker main event happens for the 17th time in a row, right, guys? You're just you're no longer excited for it.
Well, that, and I mean, if out of 7 hours, if 3 or 4 of the matches are good, that's like 2 out of the 7 hours that's good. So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes it seem
it
like a worse pay-per-view.
Yeah, right. And that's the other thing is, for me is, I talked about the part-timers, the Shane, the Triple H, the Undertaker. The problem is when they're all on there, and then you add in a Brock Lesnar, you add in a Goldberg. Next thing you know, you have these what are considered the main event matches, because that's what it is when the Undertaker wrestles at WrestleMania. It's a main event match. They really take away from all the talent who are, all those guys I named have been around for 20 years, give or take. And, these up-and-comers, you don't get to see them as much because they're thrown on the pre-show. They're thrown on a mid-card match. They toss them in a battle royal. I appreciate seeing, a match, if Brock and Goldberg want to have a match and that's going to be the main event traction there, fine. Triple H doesn't need to have a match then, Taker should retire, but we'll talk about that later. Things like that. Like, they don't need to have 4 of their mainstay matches be these part-timers, because it does take away from the product, because eventually one day all these part-timers aren't going to be able to wrestle anymore, and then guess what? You don't have anybody built up to that level anymore because you were pushing them to the mid-card for so long. So that's probably my biggest issue with the WrestleMania, is it does take away from some of the younger guys who I think need to be showcased a little bit more.
Yeah.
I just think that the ones that are, it's not that we don't appreciate the people that we grew up and enjoyed, but after a while, it's like they come back for like that one match at WrestleMania, but it really, the people that have been carrying the story, have been carrying this plot point, these plot these plot points for all year have not been these people that are now getting a lot of TV time and are getting the bigger spots at WrestleMania. I think all of you can agree with that.
Absolutely. You get these people who've been carrying the show, carrying the titles in many cases. You get like a Kevin Owens who was the Universal Champion for, 7 or 8 months, and then all of a sudden he drops the title and now he's not, going to defend the title at the biggest show. And it just, it kind of is like, well, that sucks. Doesn't, why do these guys, they wrestle 4 nights a week at house shows and they're on every Raw and every pay-per-view, and then they're being, tossed into the first hour of WrestleMania or the third hour or something like that. So it does take away from it. But let's kind of break down some of those pre-shows and, a couple of the quick matches here, just to kind of open up the card. We have a lot of matches we got to get through and kind of give our thoughts on, so we'll kind of open up with some of the ones that are going to get a little less time. I'm going to just kind of guess these couple matches might be pre-show. They might be right at the beginning. We're not really sure. The first is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. There's a memorial in there somewhere. It's a really long name. This was created a few years ago. I think it's their way of trying to get everybody on the roster. And they try to, the first year Cesaro won it, and you thought, oh, maybe, or did Cesaro win it the second year? And Big Show won it the first year. I forget. One of those two won it. And then for like a day or two, they remind you that they're the winner. And, Baron Corbin won it last year. It doesn't do anything. We thought at first it might be a way to like push these young guys. It really hasn't been. It's kind of just something that they get it gets tagged with their name for the rest of that year leading up to WrestleMania. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you if Strowman ends up in this match, I think maybe he wins it, but I could also see like them giving it to like an NXT guy or something. I don't know if you guys have a thought on who you'd like to see win it or if you even care.
If the past, whatever the hell the thing's called exactly, has shown us anything, it's that it doesn't matter who wins it. So I think I would agree with you that Strowman would be a good person to win it just because they're pushing him right now, but I honestly don't think it would hurt or help him that much either way.
They should just shorten the name to like King of the Ring Light, because that's really what it is. It's like one little event, in this case one match, that this person will probably walk around with the trophy for maybe the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of Raw or something.
I was going to say they would see the trophy on the first episode of Raw, and that would be about it. But yeah.
Whereas like when someone wins King of the Ring, you get like King Barrett, you get like King Sheamus for a couple months, and then you're done with it. And it gets old and played out. And also, I don't think the wrestlers themselves want to have that moniker of having to change something that they have been forever. It almost seems like King of the Ring was always something where if you didn't have a plot or if you didn't have a good character, you just put King in front of it and you act like a douche. So this is kind of an even lazier King of the Ring. I agree Strowman makes the most sense. He's getting pushed. He had that really crazy match against Roman Reigns. And right now it just seems like no matter who wins, nobody wins. As I guess that's the way it goes.
Right. And they'll probably do some. I was thinking they might do something with a lot of the women wrestlers, do like a 6 or 8 man tag. They might be doing that with Alexa Bliss's SmackDown Women's Championship. They're pitting her up against. They keep saying like the women of SmackDown. It's sort of vague, but it looks like there's Becky Lynch, Mickie James. I'm forgetting 1 or 2 others that kind of seem to be Carmella's in that, and Natalya maybe. So I don't know if it's just going to be those 5. I don't even know if it's like a round robin. They really haven't specified it too much. I think it's just their way of, again, trying to get as many of the roster on the show. I'm going to say Alexa Bliss probably loses the title here. I just don't know to who. Mickie James kind of makes a lot of sense, because she's sort of making a return. But I think at the end of the day, Becky Lynch is going to get the title back.
That kind of match reminds me of the Cruiserweight title in WCW, where there's no real storyline, I feel like, other than everybody's going for the title and everyone's gunning for whoever's on the top. And then somebody just ends up winning. There's no real deep enriched rivalry feud between really anybody. Everybody's just kind of going at each other, and then somebody just ends up coming out on top. I agree that Alexis Bliss probably loses the title, but I honestly don't think it matters who takes it. I almost want to say give it to Natalya. I feel like she's been there for so long, and I don't recall her ever being a women's champion.
It's one of those things she always seems to, I think she was a Divas champion. Maybe.
I think she was a Divas champion, yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think she's won the women's title. And it's one of those things, like, people always put greener they always put greener wrestlers with her because she's a good veteran ring worker and can make them look better. She's just so bad on the mic, I think, that's part of the reason why she probably hasn't been bigger.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think this is basically the Andre the Giant Memorial thing, but for the women. And I'll pick Becky Lynch just because I like her and I hope she wins.
Nice. Well, there you go. And then one last one that I'm thinking is probably going to be pre-show. Maybe it'll be early on, and that's going to be the Raw Tag Team Championships. SmackDown just had the Tag Team Championships the night of us recording, which for those of you out there, we are recording this and releasing this the week with another Raw and SmackDown to go, so there could be some last minute build up that maybe some things change. So we apologize there, but this is going to be Gallows and Anderson defending their titles against Enzo and Cass and Cesaro and Sheamus. It's sort of been these three tag teams all kind of going back and forth. I think Gallows and Anderson retain here. That's how I feel about it. I think they're trying to push them to be stronger, and the build-up's been kind of weak so far. So that's my pick there.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the match itself. I could see them doing an Enzo Cass win just because it's WrestleMania and they want to get people psyched and everyone loves Enzo and Cass. But I also kind of agree with what you're saying. So I think the safe bet would be Gallows and Anderson just to keep that going.
I think that I don't think it needs to. We need to have another long reign. We just got done with like the New Day having the titles for so long, but that doesn't mean that this next champion needs to have it for a long time either. I don't see, I guess, the full benefit of making Gallows and Anderson look like a legitimate tag team when we already know that they are. And so a winner, them losing the titles to anybody, hopefully not Cesaro and Sheamus, as much as I love Cesaro, but they have nowhere to go right now, and they need to break. They need to part ways. I'm actually on the Enzo Cass train as well. I think it's a more entertaining win. I think that's going to get the crowd pumped, especially if this is more like the opening or maybe even the kickoff show. I think that would be a good ending to the kickoff show if we have new tag champions.
Welcome back to another List segment. I'm your host, Josh Haddix.
Did Sierra Mist drop us?
No, yeah, they dropped us. I can't. Legal is not allowing me to.
There goes that money.
Yeah. So sorry, guys, for everyone.
Back
that
to
was
Billy Smart, it is, I guess.
Yep. Brought to you by Billy Smart, which does sell Sierra Mist. Hey, insist on the twist. All right, guys. We're going to do something a little bit different here this week. It is still going to be kind of list related. It's going to be a little bit more interactive with you two, though, because I do feel like you two going head to head on wrestling knowledge is probably more entertaining than me and Kiser or me and Hougie. So
it would be almost as big a main event as any Undertaker WrestleMania match.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, all three of them.
All right. What I have here is 3 lists. We might only need 2. And we're gonna go back and forth, and you'll see they'll probably go pretty deep in the list because I think these are kind of common knowledge for the most part, especially with you two. We're gonna go back and forth down this list. The first person to get one wrong, obviously the other person wins. If we need the third one for a tiebreaker, we will. And you guys will kind of see if that's confusing. You'll see where I'm getting at here once I start. So, for what it's worth, we will start with Hougie, since Hougie, you never kind of get to do these trivia things, so we'll start with you first.
There's a reason why.
And my first list here is Undertaker's opponents at WrestleManias, okay? So you're going to give me one, and then it is off the list. So Kiser, if you repeat anything that's said, or Hougie, if you repeat anything later on, you lose. Or if you fail to give me an answer, you lose. So obviously, you guys will probably be able to get 4 or 5 of these right off the bat, but we'll see how far you can get. So Hougie, what is your?
Well, we'll go with the first one he ever had, and that's Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
All right, Kiser.
Are we considering this WrestleMania?
Are we considering victims or all people he's beaten, or just anybody?
People that he has faced.
Okay.
His opponents in WrestleManias.
So we're not counting this year. So then, since Hougie did first, I will go with Shane McMahon last year.
All right. Hougie.
Well, Giant Gonzalez. I know that one for sure.
Yep. Kiser.
It's funny is I was going to use that one at some point. We will go with Triple H.
Yep. And for what it's worth, obviously he's fought Triple H multiple times, but that is only one answer. So,
I can't say Triple H again. Okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
So, all right.
We'll do Shawn Michaels.
All right.
Nah, that was a good one. Batista.
Yeah, that was at Detroit, the only WrestleMania at Detroit. Wasn't I want to pick ones that are tough ones to get him out of the way. Didn't he have a match with like a triple threat with Prince Albert?
I'm not going to answer what you say. You got to give me an answer, and I'll tell you.
Damn it! I was saving that one for later.
I'm pretty sure it's Big Show and Prince Albert. Or he was like A-Train, I think, at the time.
Is that your answer?
Yeah, Big Show and A-Train.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay. I know he was in a triple threat match.
Isaac?
CM Punk.
Hougie?
Edge.
Kiser?
Oh, yeah, now we're starting to get down there a little bit. And I can't think of a lot of the early ones, which is what's killing me.
I'm pretty sure I still got about 5 left in.
I was about to say, there's some on here that are
yeah. There's I'm
gonna have to cut you off here if you can't give me one. Again, opponents of Undertaker.
Come on. Kiser, opponents.
Opponents. Not people he's beat. Opponents.
Oh, opponents. So then we'll go with Brock Lesnar.
Jesus Christ. That was a big hit. That makes up for Hougie giving me extra on that one.
All right. Well, then, God, didn't he hang Big Boss Man at the end of his match at WrestleMania? So Big Boss Man.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that one. I was just listening to a podcast about that one, actually. And I had thought Big Boss Man earlier and then forgot it by the time it came back to me.
All right, if that's right, I have probably at least 5 more left.
That is correct. Big Boss Man is correct.
Okay.
We are down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more.
Really, 9.
Let's go with... I'm just going to say JBL. I don't know if that was one back.
That is not correct.
Yeah, I wasn't confident.
For what it's worth, there is still...
I think it's Jake Roberts, King Kong Bundy, Kane twice.
Yep.
Ric Flair. Yep. Diesel.
Oh, I meant to... Yeah, Flair was one. I forgot about Diesel.
Psycho Sid?
Yep.
Bray Wyatt was a couple years ago.
Yep.
He beat Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah, Bray. Yep. Yeah,
is there one left?
Yes.
Oh, God.
The Viper.
He said that already.
I said the Viper. Casket match. It was Mark Henry.
Yes, Mark. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mark Henry was the other one. Yeah. There you go.
Whew.
All right. So Hoagie's up 1-0. All right. We are going to go to this one will be slightly harder, but again, we should be able to get through a couple of these, before it starts to get hard. And again, if there's going to be an answer that was multiple WrestleManias, but it only counts as one.
Okay.
And this will be who has won a world title at WrestleMania. And it can count when there was 2 going on, 2 matches, for the WWE Championship and the Heavyweight Champion, whatever.
Okay.
So who has won them at WrestleMania? Not who was in them, who has won them. All right? You guys with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's starting?
And we will start with you, Kiser, since Hougie went first last.
We'll go with Undertaker.
Yep.
We'll go Triple H.
Yep. Let me mark these off here. This is a longer
I feel like I need to write these down on a piece of paper so I know to say things twice.
Kiser?
Shawn Michaels.
Hougie?
Rey Mysterio.
Kiser?
The Hulkster, Hulk Hogan.
Hougie?
The Macho Man.
Kiser?
Chris Benoit.
We don't remember that.
Hougie?
John Cena.
Man, I should have had that queued up for when you said that. Kiser?
Roman Reigns.
Hougie?
Daniel Bryan.
Kiser?
Seth Rollins.
Hougie?
Oh. Okay. Stone Cold.
The last multiple winner there. Kiser?
Ooh. Now you have me second guessing myself. Edge?
I'm sorry. That was not the last multiple winner. My bad. But yes, Edge is correct. Hougie?
Oh, I thought he actually won the title there. Okay.
Yep.
Or
won the match. So either he retained or
won. That opens up everything. Okay.
This is who's won a heavyweight, a championship match at WrestleMania. Yes, Randy Orton. Kiser.
Batista?
Hougie?
Has won the title.
A championship. Not any championship, the world heavyweight or WWE champion.
Right. Bret Hart.
Kiser.
Eddie Guerrero.
Hougie.
Diesel?
Yep. Kiser.
Ooh.
JBL. Nope, that's what lost you the last.
This guy's killing me.
Did Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar both retain or win at WrestleMania?
Kurt Angle is not on the list.
I was going to say Brock did. Yeah,
I know Brock beat Kurt Angle 1 year for the title. So
you guys missed. You guys did get down to what was there 6 left or 7 left? Ultimate Warrior, Yokozuna, Chris Jericho, The Miz, CM Punk, Sheamus, and Alberto Del Rio.
Remember when The Miz was a champion? Jesus.
All right. Real quick. We're going to fly through this one. This is for 3 points. Okay? So, Kiser, you could still win. All right? We're going to pull a Hougie.
Please, let's be aliases of John Bradshaw Layfield.
Seriously. JBL is not on this list. Okay?
Why'd you tell him that? That's what I've been hoping.
Well, no,
it's like tag partners of Farouk.
All right, this was kind of like a little bit of a harder one because it would have been the tiebreaker. But we're gonna try to fly through this. It's gonna be lightning round. If you don't answer rather quickly, I'm gonna just end it. So this is what finishers ended championship matches at a WrestleMania. Okay, so basically, if you remember our last list, just start naming finishers. Okay.
Yep.
What finishers ended championship matches at WrestleMania? Hougie, we'll start with you.
Rock bottom.
That is correct. However, not from The Rock. So.
Oh, didn't the Rock? I thought the Rock.
He rock bottomed
John Cena for the Miz to win.
Yes, but the Rock didn't win. Is I guess what I meant by that.
Well, you didn't say that.
No, you're right. No, that's correct. You're right. That's on the list. So It's on to Kiser.
The leg drop.
The leg drop is on here 4 times, as a matter of fact.
That sounds about right.
Hougie.
Oh man, the sharpshooter.
That is not on here.
I thought that's how he beat Ric Flair or Mr. Ric Flair for the title at
Bret Hart won once, which was WrestleMania 10, right?
Is that when he beat?
And that's when Yokozuna fell off the edge.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. So there was no sharpshooter to win that. He pinned him after he fell. So, Kiser, ladies and gentlemen, with a 3-point round.
Oh, okay.
I was just about to say clothesline from hell. So
I just got hoagied.
You really did.
You just got hoagied, my friend. Obviously, I mean, you guys could have gone for days. Stone Cold.
Oh, I was just saying,
yeah, for
Stunner,
sure.
Pedigree, Tombstone. Yeah.
Yes, you could have gone for a while, but yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Your unanimous winner, Josh Kiser.
Thank you. All right, let's get into these matches here. Now, this is going to be sort of our mid-card to, we're not going to call them main events because, Undertaker's not in any of them, so we know that's not going to be part of it, but some of the headliners will be listed here as well. And the first is going to be the Raw Women's Championship, which is sort of their equivalent of doing the SmackDown matchup with a bunch of women. They're doing a fatal 4-way. It's Bayley, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax. It feels like each week another female wrestler is being added to this matchup. Bayley, the big storylines that could have been leading into this with Charlotte Flair's undefeated pay-per-view streak, that's gone. Bayley's, struggle to be champion and then, whether she can finally win the title and beat Charlotte, that's gone. I feel like they've just kind of botched all the story build-up for this one. And for me, I think the big thing is I think Sasha Banks goes heel here, and I think she wins the championship.
Dang. I was just about to say that. I think the story they've been trying to build is the Sasha Bayley thing, and I think Sasha will turn on Bayley and either pin her or do something to her to win the championship.
Yep, I agree.
I think Bayley was a feel-good story for her to win the title while Sasha was injured. Unfortunately, Bayley's going to take a back seat for a bit if Sasha Banks is back to being at full health. I don't think she turns heel.
She beats Bayley. She turns heel, right?
You think?
No,
Bayley
I think Sasha turns heel.
Yeah,
Sasha
Sasha.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Sasha goes heel. I just think that it's going to go back to being the Charlotte Sasha show again. But with that said, I don't know. As far as a winner, because of the fact that they botched this so much, I feel like they can easily hit the reset button on this. I think all 4 of them have some sort of claim to maybe getting that title for a little bit. But if I had to put a gun to my head, I would say Charlotte gets it back.
All right, and I will just add one quick thing here. Nia Jax cleanly pinned Bayley this week on Raw to get her spot in this match. I feel like that's not a good way of broadcasting your champion, having her cleanly pinned by the 4th entrant now into the match. But, it is what it is.
But they do that all the time, though. They always have, a match before, a pay-per-view where you think that someone's going in with high hopes or a lot of steam going forward and gets beaten.
I know, but I just thought it wasn't a good look for Bayley to have her just cleanly lose to Nia Jax.
Yeah, they haven't booked this very well.
No.
Basically, I think is what it boils down to.
Unlike this next match that we're going to say, which I think has actually been booked well, as well as it's going to be, and that's the gender mixed tag match of John Cena and Nikki Bella versus Miz and Maurice. And for me, I think it's been very entertaining. I think Miz might be the best pure heel that there is on the roster because he's one of those
his
heels.
His mic skills are amazing.
Yeah, he's one of those heels that, you get some of these other heels, like when Seth Rollins was a heel, even Brock Lesnar to a degree, AJ Styles, they're heels, but you still, there's a percentage of the fans that still cheer on everything they do, even like when Jericho's was a heel. Miz isn't like that. People still just hate Miz, and he's so good at that. And I think it's a credit to him that he is going to match up against John Cena at WrestleMania. I mean, I think that's a pretty big deal. This match is going to be in the middle of the card, maybe earlier on, but I think it's John Cena, so it's a big deal there. And the big build up here, this is sort of my personal prediction, and then after watching SmackDown this week, I think it's going to be a less obvious prediction than I thought before it would be. And that's, I think John Cena is going to propose to Nikki after this match. I think that's going to be their big WrestleMania moment, one of the big things that they can take home. And after watching Miz and Maurice this week on SmackDown, basically making more and more jokes about how Cena won't propose and he's not going to ever settle down, I think it's like all but a foregone conclusion at this point that Cena and Nikki win and they get engaged in front of, 200,000 people, whatever they want to tell you how many they're there.
If that's the case, I'm all for it. I think that would be kind of cool, to be honest with you. I mean, it's their careers, so they met all that. But if not, I would highly doubt that this was their plan for John Cena going into a WrestleMania.
I think there was original talks that Cena and Taker were supposed to main event this, but then they decided to put Taker elsewhere in another main event match.
Yeah, or like a mid-card match, like right before the main event.
Dude, this is going to go on forever, and I love it. But I agree. If that, I kind of hope he does now. I'm almost going to be kind of let down if that doesn't happen with this, even if it's like a great match or great for what it is. But I like John, I like Nikki, and I agree with you about the Miz. So,
are you on first name basis with those guys, John and Nikki?
It's actually in my phone. It's Johnny and. I was going to say
Johnny and Nick.
Ms. Bella.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing here that this just smells like something's got to have to happen.
Like The Rock's cooking.
John Cena. I can't even remember the last time John Cena was in a match like this where really there's no real.
No, this is probably one of his weaker. This is this might be one of his weaker storyline matches for WrestleMania.
Yeah, this isn't like a return from injury or going for the title, or there's a real grudge match he's having, or
once in a lifetime match,
or once in a lifetime part 2. Yeah. So if this just ends with just a regular John Cena and Nikki having a moment where they win the match and it's just kind of like a fun ending or whatever, then it just seems like I think everybody is hoping is going to be on pins and needles thinking something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, it would seem like such a total letdown. That match didn't even need to happen.
Right. I agree. But I think that's why I think the proposal's happening. So I think that's it. The next match on here is the Intercontinental title match. This title, thanks to Miz, was pretty important. And then Dean Ambrose got it, and they stopped caring about it again. So it's kind of disappointing. He's fighting Baron Corbin, who I've really kind of grown to enjoy ever since Elimination Chamber. He's been just attacking Dean every chance he gets. I think they have a chance if they get some time on this to really have a good match and probably one of the better matches on the card if done right. At this point, though, I really think Baron Corbin needs to win the title. I think he's due for it. I think he could be one of the top heels, sort of like Miz, but in a different way he carries himself. And I think he'll do more for the title than Dean Ambrose has done and will do with it. So give me some Baron Corbin in this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you about the whole Dean Ambrose. Just not that he's a bad wrestler. I actually really like Dean.
Dean's fine. They didn't do well with him.
Yeah, they haven't booked him well, and I do think that this could be I think they're both good wrestlers, so I think it will be a good match, and I'll go with you. I'll go Baron Corbin with you. I think it'd be good for WrestleMania. It'd be a good change for the next chapter in the wrestling world.
I feel like Dean Ambrose as a champion has been sort of under the radar a little bit, which maybe it means that maybe it's getting a little bit bland with him as champion. Maybe he's better. Maybe he's just a better overall, product when he's not holding a belt at all.
Sort of like a Mick Foley.
Yeah, something like that, where like no one feels like they're being, I guess, tied down to defending titles, and because it's much more fun when Dean Ambrose is a little bit more unhinged and a little bit more unfiltered. But when you're the champion, you kind of are going on a script and kind of going in a linear direction when you're the champion. So I also agree. I think Baron Corbin wins it. I think it'll be a fresh start with the IC title.
Let's hope so. The next match on our list is not 100% confirmed yet, but it looks like as of Raw this week that it's going to happen. The official contract will probably be signed next week, and that's going to be Triple H, Seth Rollins. This one has been building for quite some time, since pretty much Triple H screwed Rollins over for the title. Then Rollins got hurt by Samoa Joe, and there was some thought that the injury was real. Then there was thought that everyone thought it was real, and then all of a sudden they aren't sure now if it is real, and they don't know whether Rollins can wrestle or not. But Triple H came out this week and basically said, Rollins, if you have any guts, come fight me at WrestleMania. So I gotta imagine that he's gonna wrestle. This should be a pretty entertaining match, but to be honest, for whatever reason, I really just don't care myself personally about this match. I have zero investment. I assume Triple H is gonna job to Rollins, but honestly, I don't really care who wins this match either way, and I wouldn't be surprised if Samoa Joe makes an appearance at some point during this match, and maybe Triple H does win, but it sets up a Rollins-Joe kind of match here in the feud going forward.
Oh, yeah, I don't see any reason for Triple H to win. I don't think it does anything. And I kind of agree with you. I don't know where the storyline goes after this, so maybe that's why there's like a little bit of, I don't care, I guess, because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's been a decent build-up, but I think just because of that, there's not much interest. But I think Seth Rollins wins. I don't see any reason for Triple H to win, so at least clean.
Never underestimate the squash power of Triple H at WrestleMania. I actually think that there's much more chance that Triple H wins this match for two reasons. One, this is his one match a year. I know that doesn't seem like probably a big deal to him. Obviously, he's in the twilight of his career. I think they will play off the fact that Seth Rollins is hurt. Samoa Joe may also make an appearance. I think it'll be too much ultimately for Seth Rollins. He does not win cleanly, so it's not like Triple H just goes in there and beats up Seth Rollins. But I think Triple H does take the victory in this one.
And I think I tend to agree with that. And then the last one we've got here for our middle to higher end of the card, this is the big buildup of AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. This is sort of the SmackDown equivalent of Triple H's match. They have Shane show up and wrestle. Of course, Shane making his big big return at last year's WrestleMania against Undertaker. This match should be a lot of fun. I mean, AJ Styles is hands down probably the best talented wrestler they have on their entire roster right now, and Shane is always good for a couple big bumps. So I have a feeling this match is going to be highly entertaining and exciting. I gotta imagine AJ wins because Shane winning does absolutely nothing, and the fact that AJ's the heel, I just can't see Shane winning this one. The only downside for me is, again, AJ Styles is the best wrestler they have, and he's being relegated to a match with Shane, which I get it. It's Vince's son, and it's a big deal from that regard. But, man, they should be doing something else with AJ Styles, and I personally am disappointed that this is the match.
Yeah, this kind of ties in with the whole John Cena thing, that it's, those are two of your bigger guys, two of your better wrestlers, and this is kind of what the best pay-per-view of the year has come to. Again, I think you can't
have John Cena versus AJ Styles 7.
No, but I mean, I think
that's part of the issue with the SmackDown roster right now. Is it's great talent, but it's very thin talent. So they don't have
it's top heavy.
Everybody's been wrestled everybody at this point. So you're kind of like, well, what else do you do? So hopefully they bring some NXT stars over to them, or they have like a draft or a reshuffle or something at some point here.
Well, for what it's worth, I will pick AJ as well. The only other thing I could see happening is Shane wins from disqualification or something. But I think I'll pick AJ to be safe. But I don't see Shane McMahon winning legitimately.
This is not going to be like one of those classic matches that AJ Styles is definitely capable of doing. This is, like you said, Kiser, it's going to be more of like a spectacle, more of an entertaining match. And there's no reason for Shane to win at all. At least for Triple H, I think there is some sort of background that can suggest that the win would go towards him. But for Shane, I mean, Shane's just there to put over, which is a weird thing to say because it's Shane. But it'll be a fun match. It just seems kind of weird that as of the end of February, AJ Styles was on his way to, going for the world title. And now he's doing this a month later.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get back in the picture soon enough, but for now we've got that. So it is what it is. Hopefully they do better with AJ Styles going forward, and maybe come SummerSlam he'll have a much bigger, high-profile match.
Welcome, everybody, to the third most popular segment of the Pseudo Nerd Podcast, and that
even as the third most popular, like I think as that could be a main event. If there's like three great segments,
it is the last segment. So I mean, technically this would be
technically it is
true. That's right.
But I mean, the list twist is getting up there now. It's getting a cult following.
It's the only segment with an actual sponsor. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's true.
That's true. So this is the great debate. The first thing we definitely want to talk about, and I definitely want to talk about, is there's a reason why I'm the moderator this week. Everything that I touch just seems to be a win. And once again, thank you very much, PNPers, for casting your votes at Pseudo Nerd Pod on Twitter. Our last big podcast great debate was between physical and digital board games. The poll speaks for itself, 80% to 20% in favor of digital. Kiser, I know that there's really not much you can say that's going to make it any better, but I feel like you put up a good match, but I mean, Old Man River, I mean, you gotta get with the times, buddy.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I came around and I voted on your side because you swayed me. So I admit defeat when I have a better opponent.
Like the Undertaker and his main events.
But with all of his main events. So once again, a reminder, because obviously we're doing another great debate every other week. Go to Twitter at Pseudo Nerd Pod. As soon as this podcast comes up, there will be a poll to see who wins. This time it will be Kiser versus Haddix, because I think Kiser feels like he has a better chance this time around.
Dang.
So this week's topic is the decision to end the streak at WrestleMania 30 with Brock Lesnar defeating The Undertaker. Now, I'll pepper in my thoughts, but as far as the advocate for Brock Lesnar, and I think the argument isn't so much that the streak ending, is it more that the streak ended the way it
I'll
did?
say, to be clear, I was for the streak ending. I thought it needed to end at some point, but we'll get into the specifics of why I don't agree with it ending how it did.
Okay, and Kiser is definitely on the fence of if it was going to be anybody.
I'm glad Lesnar. It was Brock Lesnar.
So, topic number one, we're going to discuss the opponent, because I think that actually is one of the bigger arguments of this, is that who is going to carry the mantle of being the one in 21-1. So, Kiser, you will start.
I'm just going to open this right up and say Brock Lesnar was the perfect choice. First of all, when the streak ended, it needed to be done by a heel. The heat that was going to come from beating Undertaker's 21-0 undefeated WrestleMania streak that many thought was just untouchable was needed to go to somebody who was going to be able to absorb and embrace the hate. And Brock Lesnar and his advocate Paul Heyman were the perfect candidates. On top of that, Lesnar was a part-time main event attraction, and what they want to do is build him up to be the biggest, baddest villain out there, and what better way to do that than to end Undertaker's streak? And on top of that, Lesnar, up to that point, it was about 8 years in between his previous stint and now, so he needed to be built back up, and that was just the way to do it.
My problem with Brock Lesnar winning it when he did was he went in being billed as this beast incarnate, if you will, right? And he's already unbeatable, right? And since then has kept that mantle of being unbeatable. Beating the Undertaker, overcoming such an undertaking, it could have pushed somebody so far. While I do agree it needed to be a heel, I think you could have catapulted somebody who already wasn't so popular to that level. You could have created another superstar by having them beat Undertaker instead of already having a superstar beat Undertaker. Now, I'm not saying you could have just picked any jobber because that would have been pointless, but a Roman Reigns, a Bray, something like that could have accelerated somebody's career by ending the streak, whereas Brock Lesnar didn't gain nearly as much heat as somebody else could have.
Kiser?
I disagree that you could just give it to any particular heel, and even an up-and-coming heel, because it could severely cripple them. You look at the push they try to give Roman Reigns currently. If you tried to give it to him 2 years ago, he would never have recovered from it, and he would change the terminology of X-Pac heat to Roman heat, or insert any other superstar's name there with heat. Brock Lesnar was the perfect candidate.
All right. So, very, very, very good arguments by both of you, by the way. I think both of you guys made a very good opinion on both of that. I'll share my thoughts later, though. Topic number 2 is the aftermath, which is what happened after the match and how did everything shape up? Because obviously something as big as this is going to have a bit of a shakedown. Haddix, you'll start.
This, to me, might be the worst part of the whole thing, is the fact that you had Undertaker lose the streak and the dude's still wrestling. That makes no sense to me why you would have such a huge thing happen and then the guy keeps wrestling and has won every match since. At this point, him winning or losing doesn't mean nearly as much, and it's almost sad watching him wrestle now. At least the once a year, we're like, oh my God, this is the streak still. Now it's just, if he loses, okay, it's just another loss. If he wins, it's no big deal. At this point, losing to Undertaker isn't going to generate that much heat, and it's kind of pointless. And I mean, if you look at what they did with Brock Lesnar, who was a part-time wrestler, he didn't wrestle for 4 months after he beat The Undertaker and won a title. I think he defended it and retained it against Rollins, and then another 4 months wrestled for the title again. I feel like they just wasted so much heat, so much storyline. If it wasn't for Paul Heyman, you would have forgot all about Brock Lesnar even beating The Undertaker. It was just such a waste to me to give it to somebody who wasn't even around, and then the fact that The Undertaker is still wrestling is asinine.
Kaiser?
Well, I agree that Undertaker has looked worse for wear these past days. I will say that Brock Lesnar winning and the aftermath that followed for him and the WWE was fantastic because, A, him coming off TV for a bit helped cool down some of that heat, which you needed to do just a little bit. And then on top of that, he goes and takes probably their most untouchable wrestler in John Cena and absolutely squashes him with the Suplex City 16 German suplexes at SummerSlam in one of the most shocking, dominant matches you've ever seen against their biggest superstar, which then not only makes Brock Lesnar that much bigger, they've already built him up as this godlike figure the way he defeated Undertaker streak. Now Undertaker doesn't look so bad because, hey, he just squashed John Cena and Taker put up a hell of a fight at WrestleMania. But then on top of that, now Brock is even bigger, badder, and untouchable, and it really builds him up to be the biggest bad guy there is out there. And that reason alone is I think the aftermath was the perfect way of booking him going forward.
So while I agree with Brock being part-time, which that's what Brock wants to do, it's pointless to me when you already were billing this guy as unbeatable. You could have had him not face The Undertaker, go and do the same thing to John Cena, and we would have all still been wowed about it. And at the same time, been building a full-time wrestler with the heat that he got from beating Undertaker. And I mean, Brock Lesnar would have been exactly where it was. I mean, don't get me wrong. He did gain some heat from beating the Undertaker, but I just feel like it's nowhere near as much as somebody else could have. So you could have done the exact same thing with Brock Lesnar that you have minus the Undertaker thing, and he would still be, everyone would still think the exact same about him right now. So I feel like that thing was almost pointless considering what you could have done to build up another superstar who's there all the time.
All right. So, final topic. I know, Haddix, you said quite a bit there, but let's see if you've got anything more. Kiser, you'll start off here with basically anything else you want to use to drive your opinion home.
WrestleMania is all about WrestleMania moments. It is what Vince pushes. Vince loves it. There's a reason Mike Tyson has showed up. Donald Trump has been there. Ronda Rousey, Mr. T, etc. He is all about the general public wanting to talk about his biggest show. He wants it covered by ESPN. He wants it written about in Sports Illustrated. And guess what? Undertaker's streak being broken made that happen. You got a UFC fighter in Brock Lesnar. It was all over the front covers and the headlines and everything. It was Undertaker's streak was a protected, you thought an untouchable thing at that point. It was a given he was going to win. You got the shock factor, you got the surprise faces, and you got everyone talking about it, and Vince laughed the way to the bank.
So I agree with everything you just said, and I think that would have happened with anybody if the key here is WWE booked it right. And obviously that kind of sounds stupid because that kind of goes with anything, but picture this. Picture the face of fear shifting to Bray Wyatt because he beat The Undertaker. Picture them actually booking Roman correctly and him beating Undertaker, them managing that heat perfectly, and we have an all-time heel to go along with Brock Lesnar. I mean, they could have just done so much more with this, and we still would have had the whole WrestleMania feel, the faces in the crowd, all that stuff could have still happened, but we could have created a whole nother superstar out of this, and it would have been perfect.
Kiser, if it's okay with you, I would like to go to the closing since I think we've hit. I mean, unless you have something to respond
that's fine.
to.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so we got 1 minute left here. Haddix, you'll start first. I got the timer on you. You got 30 seconds. I will stop you right at 30 seconds. Your closing statement.
At the end of the day, something as big as the streak should have been used to elevate someone on the roster who needed it and could have benefited from it way more than Lesnar did. Imagine the heat that anybody else could have gotten if booked correctly.
Kiser.
WWE's plan, whether you agree with it or not, is to create the next John Cena, Hulk Hogan, whoever. And that is without a doubt Roman Reigns. And if they have Roman Reigns end that streak, it would have given him nuclear heat that he would never recover from. He's already struggling as it is. Instead, they have Brock Lesnar end it. They build him up to be this almost myth-like, godlike villain that can be defeated in a torch-passing moment to Roman, which is why Brock Lesnar ending Undertaker's 21-0 undefeated streak at WrestleMania 30 was not just perfect, but the only option.
I'd let you have one extra second. So that is the great debate. Personally, I'm almost completely on Haddix's side, except for the fact that if anybody, there was no one on that roster was going to be able to handle beating The Undertaker at that time. Nobody. Nobody, and also, I don't think anybody on that roster wants that. Once you beat The Undertaker, that's what you become. And if you really, the one thing that wrestlers want to have is their own. They want to go on their own. They want to create a name for themselves, not have something kind of handed to them like a win against The Undertaker. Brock Lesnar is perfect because he is a superstar in the mainstream. It's a big name that's going to get like I just said on SportsCenter and things like that. And at the same time, he's the type of person that he doesn't care if he gets that heat. That is easily dissipated by a guy like Brock Lesnar. He's the only person I think would have been able to handle the weight on the shoulders. It's not a reward to beat The Undertaker. It is a curse. And I think Brock Lesnar would have been able to shoulder that weight much better. But with that said, I think everyone kind of knows where I'm kind of leaning towards. But head over to Pseudo Nerd Pod on Twitter, and we will have a poll out saying whether or not you agree that Brock Lesnar shouldn't have been the one to beat The Undertaker, or if you think that Brock Lesnar was the perfect choice for it to finally end. We would love to hear your thoughts on it. Also, I know a lot of people who have different opinions about it. But yes, please go to Twitter at Pseudo Nerd Pod.
All right, and for the main event breakdown section, I've got about 4 matches here that are all main event caliber matches of WrestleMania.
But I don't think are actually main events, though. I mean, they're good card matches.
And first, of course, is the moment most people look forward to at every WrestleMania, and that's Undertaker's main event match. And this is Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. I just have to say that this build-up, I understand that Undertaker is as part-time as they come. The build-ups for his matches, sometimes he's not there all the time for, so it's a little bit harder. This one has been really, really weak. They keep talking about Roman is the big dog, which, by the way, I hate that nickname, and this is his yard now. And it just sounds like it's an argument over whose yard it is. It's like a homeowner's disagreement. It's like
the American Badass Undertaker.
And it's really, really bad. And the only thing honestly, at this point, I'm kind of ready for Undertaker to just retire. And I hope Roman isn't the one to retire him, because it's going to be bad for Roman and bad for everyone. And now Braun Strowman has been kind of like hanging around lately with this. So there's a possibility that this could turn into a triple threat, because at this point, Braun's, we talked about it might be in that battle royal, and that could be it. So maybe they make it a triple threat, which would be interesting. And then that would also kind of take some of the heat off of Undertaker from having to be involved in a match, solo. Instead, he could kind of get his licks in a little bit here and there. And then that way Roman could pin Braun or something like that, and then technically Undertaker's kind of okay, and Roman's not going to be hated. That's the only thing interesting to me, is where they go if Braun gets into this match. But otherwise, Undertaker versus Roman does not interest me at all, and I really, really don't want to see Roman going over on Taker at this point.
The only thing I could see happening is if he does retire Taker, they bill the whole Lesnar versus Reigns, the first guy to beat Undertaker and the guy to retire Undertaker. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing.
That's your WrestleMania 2018 matchup right there.
That's what I could see happening. But I have to agree with you. I almost don't want to see that, but I think that makes the most sense. So pending that they don't do some triple threat thing, I'm going to have to pick Roman Reigns beating The Undertaker. And I hope to God he retires, because the dude's just getting too old.
I think he's still capable of wrestling. I will say this, though. Undertaker and just the guy in general, the real person behind him, was it Mark Calloway?
Mark Calloway.
He's not the kind of person to have, to say out loud, this is my final match, where he wants it to be a spectacle. It's almost like, he's like the anti-Kobe, where he does his tour of his final year, and then this is his final match. I honestly think that if Roman Reigns wins and Undertaker just kind of that's his last match, and he kind of just goes away, I think that's actually fitting of The Undertaker, and also Mark Calloway.
So he's always been about Undertaker is like the Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Where he wrestles until he can't wrestle anymore,
and then after he's done, he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm retired, guys."
Yeah, I honestly think that Undertaker does not come off to me as the showman, where he wants to make this be about him.
For a guy who main evented as many WrestleManias as he has, you're right.
Yeah, that's three's a lot, though. But going back to the actual thing, I actually believe. Oh God, it's so weird for me to say Undertaker
believe
wins,
that, brother. Right.
I think he does win. I think Undertaker does win this match.
All right,
Kiser, who are you picking to win? By the way,
I'm taking Roman on that one. But I think if it's just Taker and Roman, I'm just taking Roman. Who am I kidding? It's Roman or bust. The only way Roman doesn't win this is if Strowman comes out and interferes for the Taker's sake, but we'll see. The next match, I think, has probably been one of the best building storylines because it's been months upon months of building, and that's the Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens. This match is for the United States Championship, which, much like Dean Ambrose is the Intercontinental Champion, Chris Jericho is the U.S. Champion. You kind of forget about that. This match should really be for the Universal Championship for Raw. Kevin Owens kind of got a Raw deal recently, but, you know, it is what it is. Obviously, they had the best friends villain. You know, they were the heels, but they were funny and cool together. And then they had a great segment where Owens turns on Jericho and threw him through a television screen, you know, sort of the Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels of years past. And I believe last I heard Jericho's contract was only up through WrestleMania. Now, he could always have it renewed, and it's kind of a secret. This has been one of Jericho's best runs in a very, very, very long time. I honestly wouldn't have minded seeing him with a world title or something for a stint, but that's not going to happen. Also, he's probably losing the title here. I think Kevin Owens is going over.
I agree. I think, like you said, this has been going on for months, and it's been great. But obviously, you know, they can't keep just wrestling each other. And I think Kevin Owens winning this kind of puts an end to it. You know, maybe he, I don't know, embarrasses him or something, and he like leaves for a while. I don't know exactly what, but yeah, I think Kevin Owens wins, and they continue the storyline elsewhere.
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens takes the title. I always play the chess game of, you know, like who's holding on to the title when you look at all the titles. You obviously don't want to do a whole card where everybody retains or all the titles get, you know, swapped around. I feel like this could go up in the air, but I think Chris Jericho really doesn't benefit much, and he's always been one of the good guys as far as pushing the younger talent. Even though, really honestly, Kevin Owens is not a young guy.
But young in the Raw. You know,
right? He's young in the eyes of the universe. Yeah. So yeah, give me Kevin Owens taking the not the Universal, the United States title.
Should be the Universal, but yes, the U.S. title. And speaking of the Universal title, we'll go to that match next. This is the much anticipated Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, the rematch from WrestleMania 20, because I'm sure that's what everybody was looking forward to now. 13 years later. Yeah. Of course, this all started because of the Survivor Series match where Goldberg surprised Brock and squashed him. Brock's first loss since before the whole Undertaker, first clean loss, I guess, since the Undertaker streak.
Well, I mean, he lost to Seth Rollins. For the title.
But
he didn't get pinned in that one for what it was worth.
Exactly.
And it wasn't a one-on-one. Yeah, they did.
I gotcha.
Of course, then they went to the Royal Rumble and, kind of battled there, and then now they're setting up for this match. I understand, and I saw this match coming at WrestleMania. I'm really sad that they put the title on Goldberg. It is 2017. Goldberg has wrestled... Let's see, Goldberg has wrestled in 3 matches since Survivor Series. He had a 1 and 26-second match against Brock Lesnar. He had 21 seconds to win the title against Kevin Owens, and he was in the Royal Rumble for 3 minutes and 21 seconds. That's a grand total of 5 minutes and 8 seconds in 4.5 months, and it is Goldberg's first time to wrestling really since WrestleMania 20 back in 2004, other than these couple things. 5 minutes. This guy can barely go 10 minutes when he was in his prime. This match, at best, is going to be a brawl. It's probably not going to last longer than 10 minutes, and it could go 15 minutes if there's 5 minutes of them like running around and stuff like that. It can't be any worse than their match at WrestleMania when Austin was the referee, because that might have been one of the worst matches I've ever seen. This match is going to be ugly. I have no faith in it. I also think Brock Lesnar wins the title and likely holds the title for a long time, like possibly through next WrestleMania or unless they want to push the Roman Brock to SummerSlam. But that's my pick.
I have no idea what to expect from this. I like to say Lesnar, but I feel like this might be one of those WrestleMania feel-good moments, and they have Goldberg win because no one's expecting it type of deal. So I have no idea. But just to maybe try to pad my stats here, I'm going to pick Goldberg. I don't know why, and I don't know how, but I'm going to pick Goldberg.
I'm kind of on the side of Haddix, where maybe at WrestleMania that's Goldberg gets the win there, but then I see Brock Lesnar ultimately taking the title. Either Goldberg, they have another match at the next pay-per-view, or Goldberg retires, or drops the belt. They do like a little tournament thing where Brock Lesnar gets it, and then maybe they can do the old Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, the only two guys who've ever beaten the Undertaker at WrestleMania. Then that becomes a storyline. That's also assuming that Roman Reigns wins, even though I said Taker would win in that match. But once again, I'm just saying that it makes there's a storyline that suggests that Brock Lesnar is the future for that title, and unless obviously Kevin Owens or something. But give me Brock Lesnar for this.
The only other thing to my defense is I could see Lesnar doing some type of thing where he jumps Goldberg and just beats the crap out of him, so technically Goldberg still wins. Like something like that. I don't know, but
yeah.
Anyway.
I think the longer this match goes, the worse it gets also.
Oh, absolutely. And last, but not least, you have the WWE Championship. Of course, it's the SmackDown title. Bray Wyatt defending against the Royal Rumble winner, Randy Orton.
I just got reminded that he won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. And, of course, this has been like of a long build-up. They kind of had that Randy was part of the Wyatt family. They kind of kicked out Luke Harper. And then eventually Randy Orton turns on Bray and burns down the compound, and apparently burning down Sister Abigail's grave, which, of course, infuriated Bray Wyatt. And it's actually been a pretty good, albeit a little weird and sort of reminiscent of the 90s WWF storylines, where it's a little supernatural and kind of weird. But it's been fun. I've liked the build-up. I think Bray retains. I think it's best for him to retain. He pinned AJ and Cena both cleanly in the past, both in title defense and to win the title. So I think they're trying to keep Bray as a strong heel, a strong title, strong champion. So I do think Bray wins. I would not be surprised if there's an Eric Rowan return, and perhaps he helps Bray win this and show that he is the loyal follower of the Wyatt family.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I hope to God they don't have Wyatt lose it, because I think he's a good draw. I think he could make a good champion for a little while, and I'm rooting for him, and I think he wins as well.
The one thing I don't like about this match is that I feel like I don't think it actually has been built very well. I think it's very confusing. I don't know who to cheer for. Like, there's not really a baby face in this. To be honest, like, I think both of them have their own agendas that I think that overall the crowd doesn't know what side to stand on.
I will give you that. Yeah, there's been a little bit of gray area because Randy Orton's supposed to be the face, I think, but burning down a dude's house and his sister's grave, whether it's his metaphorical or actual sister, I've never been clear on that. Yeah, that's not really a babyface type move, so I can understand where you're coming from there.
And another thing that makes it also weird is that it actually is kind of affecting AJ Styles' feud a little bit. Not to mention that maybe this AJ Styles should be somewhere in this discussion than maybe Randy Orton at this point, or at least he should be somewhat mentioned. But because of all this crap that's been going on, Shane McMahon has been coming out looking like the babyface, the sympathetic figure, whereas in reality, Styles is supposed to be the baby face. So it's that we have two matches from SmackDown that I think have a very confusing aspect to it going into WrestleMania, and it's just I don't know. It's just it's weird, and I think it has a lot to do with Orton and Bray. That said, as far as the match, I think it makes all the sense in the world for Bray Wyatt to retain at this point. So I'll say give me Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. So that's all the matches. There might be a couple that added that pop up at the end. We apologize. Card is always subject to change. But that's going to be all of our predictions. I will say, final thoughts, guys. Anything that we missed, or a bold prediction, or anything that you're most looking forward to, anything like that? Haddix?
My bold prediction, I really don't think it's going to happen, but my bold prediction is Goldberg beats Lesnar again in some crazy quick match, like quick pin or whatever. Same thing that's happened.
And Hougie?
My bold prediction is the Andre the Giant Memorial winner will actually have something to hang his hat on, and it'll help catapult his career.
That is bold, my friend. I don't think I have a bold prediction, per se. For me, my final thought, I guess, is Samoa Joe really needed to be on this card. I know they have Finn Balor, who's healthy and ready to come back. It's a shame he's not on this card. I think he's returning the day after WrestleMania myself.
The day after is always big for people to come back.
Yeah, so I think they're going to hold off for there. He showed up and returned on a house show, but I do think Samoa Joe, I guess my bold prediction is Samoa Joe interferes in the Seth Rollins Triple H match, which is setting up a feud between them, but I don't think that's necessarily bold. But it's just a shame that he's not on this card at this point. But how about you, PMPers? Do you guys have any final thoughts, predictions, anything like that? Maybe give us your thoughts on the main event attraction that is The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Feel free to reach out at the Pseudo Nerd Pod on the Twitter. Go to pseudonerdpod.com to find us on Facebook, Instagram, iTunes. Subscribe, leave that 5-star rating, and always check out Hoagie's stream, which is, again, I never remember the days, Kyle.
Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That, of course, is on the West Coast.
There you have it, and he is streaming Zelda's Breath of the Wild, which will, of course, be the topic of this week's Pseudo Nerd Short. When I say this week's, I mean next week's. So take a look for that as well. From the Great Lakes to the Golden Gate, I am Josh Kiser. He is Josh Haddix. He is Kyle Hoagland, and we will see you guys next time.
Have a good Friday.
See ya.